So I usually don't talk about the, rumors to do with Nintendo's next generation console. I mean, there's been so much ridiculous stuff that has popped up, fake rumors, stuff people have made up, things that just kind of spread like wildfire and just gets kind of out of control. It's usually what happens, but Nintendo's very secretive with this kind of stuff. So it's like you always have to take things with a grain of salt, but it definitely feels like it's time, right? So according to Video Game Chronicles, Nintendo is targeting their next gen console to release the second half of 2024. And in this article, there's some interesting information I kind of want to go over. I've loved the Nintendo Switch. It's been my most used console in years. In years. I play it all the time. I have an Xbox Series X, a PS5, and I play those quite often as well. But the Nintendo Switch, no, there's just been so much unique stuff for it. Those Nintendo first parties really love what Nintendo does. Not everything that they do, but their games, for the most part, have been pretty awesome. So let's take a quick look at this article. Now, I always scratch my head kind of like, I don't know, according to multiple people, to who? I want names. I want social security numbers. I want to know where they live. Is it just somebody who says that they have an uncle who works with Nintendo? Because usually that's the way it went down. This stuff is tight-lipped. But they're saying that they got knowledge of Nintendo's next-gen console plans and that the company is likely to release new hardware during the second half of next year. So midway through the 2024, they want to have ample stock available to avoid the issues like the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X had. And the Switch kind of had at first as well. It was a little tough finding a Nintendo Switch day one. For whatever reason, I mean, they started trickling out there, but always with the console launch, day one can be a little tough at times. So here we go. All those specific details are being kept closely guarded. Those VGC spoke to indicated that the next-gen console would be able to be used in portable mode. So, oh my God, is that a new detail, or is that just something most people assumed? That they're not going to go back. This has been an evolution to the Switch, all their consoles getting to that point, a hybrid portable. So that's to me is not shocking if the next Nintendo console is, a dual system, portable, docked, home console type of thing. So two sources that they spoke to suggested that the console could launch with an LCD screen instead of the more premium OLED in order to bring down the cost. I guess, but how are you going backwards, man? How are you going backwards? Holy God, it should be 3D again, like the 3DS have a little slider on there. I love that, but I didn't use it much, to be honest with you. So what are they saying? In order to bring down costs, especially considering the increased storage needed for higher fidelity games, is the new Nintendo console going to be on par with the PS5 or even the PS4? I don't know, but do they need to be? I don't think so. They've done just fine with the Switch with this aged hardware. The hardware was aged when it came out, and it's mostly been fine. There's been a few, times where I've played a game where it was like, damn, man, like this really pushed the boundaries past what the system was either capable of doing or the developer. I don't know, to where, maybe stronger hardware could have improved things, performance and whatnot. But for the most part, most games I've played on the Switch, I haven't had an issue complaining about performance. Obviously the graphic fidelity and whatnot has been that Nintendo aesthetic, and it's worked. To me, it's the fun factor. I don't need realistic graphics. I need fun and original stuff. So they say, like its predecessor, the new Nintendo console also accept physical games via a cartridge slot. Other details such as backwards compatibility support for Switch games remains unclear. That could be a problem for some. I've been fighting myself. Like, it's not the biggest struggle in the world, but I've been fighting myself on like, hey, if the next, I really want the next Nintendo console to be backwards compatible. But if that's not possible for like a reason that makes sense, I think I just need to accept it and just keep my Switch. Normally, I don't keep a previous generation console. I know the older I've gotten, it's like, man, I should have kept all my NES games back in the day, all my Super Nintendo games. And I got rid of them all. Now I just emulate them. You know, I don't even care. Like, whatever, man. I just emulate all that stuff. But with the Switch, I think it's going to be like the first console that, if the next gen is not backwards compatible, I'm for sure going to keep my Switch in my library of games. It's going to be the first. It's like the biggest library of games I've ever accumulated for any consoles for the Nintendo Switch. Like, there's this connection there with certain games. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to keep my Switch and I'm going to keep my games. I don't care. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to trade it in to get the new system. You know, like I traded my Wii U. I sold it, I think, to Amazon. I got like nothing just to get a Switch when it came out, right? I gave away a Switch too. I was like, when I first started my channel, I gave away a Switch at like 1,000 subscribers or something. Man, hey, maybe we'll have to do the same with this new one. Just maybe. Just depends on if I can get multiple pre-orders. You know what I mean? So they say Nintendo said that it wants to convert as many of the Switch's 100 million plus user base as possible. Although some third-party publishers are said to have expressed concern that legacy support for Switch games could negatively affect sales of next-gen titles. Why? Why would it negatively affect it? You just have a larger library. No, mofo. If you're not gonna put any effort into the next gen, then yeah, maybe people aren't gonna buy your games. But if the idea is like, well, we want to remaster our previous games, no, you need to skip a generation. I don't want, like, it made sense from the Wii U to the Switch to port stuff over because not that many people had a fucking Wii U. And the Switch just blew the hell up. So it was like, hey, there were some awesome games on the Wii U that people didn't get to experience. You got over 100 million users on the Switch. You don't need to worry about porting things from the Switch and reselling them for the next console. That'd be kind of ridiculous. You need to wait a generation or two. So I hope that's not what their problem is. Because the only other way I could see it negatively affecting sales of next-gen titles is if your next-gen titles suck donkey balls, dude. Like, that's what the problem would be, in my opinion. So Nintendo they're not going to respond at all. I always love when they're like, Nintendo didn't immediately respond. Well, they ain't going to respond. They don't give comment to stories until like they actually have news to announce themselves. They don't comment on rumor or speculation or anything like that. Tokyo-based industry consultant Dr. Sirkin Toto told VGC that a 2024 console launch would make sense. I think it would make sense since it's projected to see double-digit declines in Switch hardware and software sales this year after it cleared 7 years in the market. It's been 7 freaking years, over 7 years, hasn't it? Or it's going to be set. I don't know. Time flies, man. I don't know how. When the hell did it come out? Freaking 2017 or something? March? Oh my God. It's time flies, dude. Time flies. They say it seems clear looking at their financials that it's time for a new piece of hardware. I think people were saying that like a year ago as well. So the only way to stop these losses from totally ballooning next fiscal is a new device. Yeah, it makes sense. Of course, Nintendo is going to release a new console. There's no shock there. They have to. Like, you got to keep, improving, innovating. But what are the innovations going to be? Is it just going to be like, hey, we're done innovating? And Nintendo's always done some weird shit, you know? They've always had something. I say weird, but not necessarily bad. They've always innovated in some way and then been, people have replicated that, Nintendo's been the first with certain things, but what kind of innovation are they gonna have with the next console? Is it just gonna be a more powerful Switch and they just say screw it? Because is it gonna be like a generational jump, like from the NES to the Super Nintendo, where it was just more powerful hardware, more buttons on the controller type of thing? I don't think we need more buttons, but is it gonna be a thing like that where they're not adding some unique thing to it? I don't know. I'm curious to see. I'm excited for a new Nintendo console, but right now I am still happy with my Switch. There's so many games I haven't even had the chance to really jump into. So, I mean, yeah, there's time, man. There's time. But I'm curious to hear what you guys got to say. Is backwards compatibility a must, in your opinion? What are you hoping out of this thing? Appreciate you guys watching. Bye.